So let me just start with the question again. So I was asking about, I think William Ellis is what I was asking about, the Charles's brother.
Oh, yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about William. His William's son, Ernest. I don't know how many children William had, but I'm sure he had more than just Ernest. But he lived in Salt Lake City.
But Ernest was the only one that we were acquainted with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the rest of them probably were still in Victoria or wherever.
Or they might have been passing.
Hmm?
The rest of the children might have passed.
Oh, that's true too.
Yeah, because there was nothing about him that looked like a black man.
Yeah, that's right. He looked Caucasian.
So William Henry Ellis was not the only member of the family to pass sometimes. Is that true?
Well, I don't know that William.
We don't know.
You mean my uncle Willie?
No, I mean William Henry, Uncle Willie
Uncle
is what
Willie,
we're calling
you're
him.
talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was not the only member
Oh,
of the
no,
family
no.
to do
I'm
that.
sure. I know there are others because my mother told about a cousin that passed and moved to Louisiana, New Orleans,
Right.
to be specific. And I think they were in the banking business or something, she said. This gentleman that she married and went to New Orleans with. But I don't remember the name.
And then Charles's wife was Margaret
Right.
Nelson, born in Kentucky according to the census information. I guess I didn't know if you knew anything more about her. Was she also on one of the Weisiger plantations, do you think?
Yes,
Yeah.
as far as I knew, that's how they knew each other there.
Okay.
And my mother said, or my grandmother said rather, that she worked in the field there on the plantation. And they married, Charles and Margaret married at age 16. Now, my grandmother Elizabeth was their first child, so let's say she had to have been born maybe when Margaret was 17. So I was curious about, was Elizabeth born in Kentucky or was she born in Victoria? I mean, I could get probably a death certificate and find out, but I just don't know. But I kind of thought maybe they were all born they had gone on to Victoria.
I think the Weisiger, well, you can't trace the Ellis family is usually, the Weisiger family moves to Victoria in 1853.
Oh, well,
And
okay.
then she's born in about
Yeah.
1858 or something.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
I think she was
Right,
born in
so
Victoria.
she was born in Victoria, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my guess on all of that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Did they know anything else about Margaret?
She died on Christmas Eve, I can tell you that. My mother used to talk about her grandmother dying on Christmas Eve, and that they said she died from indigestion, but my mom said, I'm sure it was a heart attack. And today it would have been probably a heart attack.
Or reflux.
Hmm?
Or reflux.
Well, she wouldn't have died from
Yeah,
reflux,
well. Yeah.
but they said indigestion, she said. They claim that's what she died from. But I do remember her saying she died on Christmas Eve.
And then, oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
that's all right.
So then 1880 census, it has Charles Ellis being a washerman.
What does that mean?
I think washing clothes, and Mary,
really?
Mary, his mother, is living with them, and they're washing clothes too.
Oh,
Really? That's
I was just wondering if there was any, if
No.
anyone knew anything about this. No.
I never heard anything like that.
And was there anything? Did people say anything ever about Mary, who would have been Charles's mother? Because she did live with the family,
No,
seemingly.
I don't remember that either.
No. Okay. And then by the 1890s, late 80s, early 90s, William H. Ellis, Uncle Willie, would have been involved in politics in Texas, with Republican politics with Norris CUNY and also Bishop Turner, I don't know, again, if the family ever mentioned anything about any of
Well,
that.
you see, my mother was born in 1895, so he was involved in all of that before she came into the world, and possibly because her mother died, you know, she wouldn't be so privy to a lot of information as a young child. I'm sure my mother got a lot of it as she got older. And of course, as I told you, she went to visit Uncle Willie like at age 17 or 18. And she made 2 trips because I think her idea was to go to Juilliard School of Music. But I don't know what happened behind that. You know, I mean, I don't know what happened that she couldn't get in, or I don't know. But I do know that was part of why she was in New York. Was thinking about going to Juilliard. In fact, see, my mother met this black producer, musician, H.T. Burley, who was a well-known black musician. And
Composer. A composer.
yeah, right. But I don't know all the little details because, of course, she came back to San Antonio after making these trips. At some point, met my father, and they got married. So I don't know how much my mother knew. To tell you the truth.
So,
You know.
so you mentioned San Antonio. At some point, the family moves from Victoria to San Antonio, and you know when and why that happened?
I don't have a clue.
Okay.
The only thing I can tell you that I think could be Elizabeth's husband, which was my grandfather, G.J. Starnes, became a medical doctor. Now maybe he felt his treating people medically would be better in a bigger city. And possibly that was the draw to San Antonio.
You're a popular person.